So today we're talking about you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor, or otherwise known as spilling the tea. So Luther, what does tea is a euphemism for gossip? I don't know if you know that. The kids are all saying it now. They are. It's tea. Yeah. They call it. Because people, it used to be like people walking around drinking tea, talk. Oh, have you heard that? Miss so and so. So now the kids call it tea. And so what's the tea today? Which actually I think that's great. Give me the tea. Spilling the tea. All right. And you can see from my wonderful meme down here, I have a Martin Luther quote with tea being spilled on other people. I was proud of that. I was originally going to do the Kermit the Frog meme where the Kermit the Frog meme with the tea. I was going to do that. But it didn't fit the context well. All right. So what, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. What does this mean? We should fear and love God so that we do not tell lies about our neighbor, betray him, slander him, or hurt his reputation, but defend him, speak well of him, and explain everything in the kindest possible way. All right. So what are some ways by which a person's reputation is damaged in our society? You can look big time, you can go relationally. What are some ways that one's reputation is damaged by other people in society?
Social media.
Yeah. Gossip plus, yeah.
I've been missing the political ads the last couple days.
Bob Casey likes to murder children.
I've come to the conclusion that not all of them were true.
Yeah.
I think some were.
It's
just me. I don't want to speak for anybody.
Not to bring politics into it, but I think I agree with you on that one.
I mean, that's a very glaring example.
It's a wonder there's other things on TV now.
Zen commercials.
Did anybody have that moment of Zen on Wednesday when you're watching TV and it was like...
Yeah. Well, forever. It's a road with a bunch of colored leaves. We saw it like 4 times.
I know, it's wonderful.
Whoever thought we missed the drug pharmaceutical ads?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Right.
Pharmaceutical musicals as they are now.
All right, in your own life and relationships, you can speak, obviously in third person. How have you seen gossip impact reputations? Have you ever witnessed somebody's life being, and this is like, we're not talking political, we're not talking in the national stage, just in your own relational stage, even outside of like high school, have you seen gossip negatively impact?
I think at work, because people do gossip.
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
They don't know the whole story, so they speak this much, and that hurts that person.
Yeah. I work with Melissa, so we gossip about each other to each other. That's all I get. So I can't identify with that.
How'd that go?
Yeah. See what Melissa had on yesterday? Yeah. The nerve. And we're nice. She lets like she's somebody else, but yeah. But it's tough, yeah.
And she talks to herself. Pastor Shaw was talking about you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should spill the beans on this, but teachers talk about the students.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the students' families. And then that hurts because when you have this, like if you're in a grade above, those kids already have a reputation.
Then you're waiting for them.
Parents have a reputation. When you get into your classroom, it's like, oh, this is what I've learned about. And it's hard to like deprogram sometimes.
Yeah.
Shit.
When it's true, is it considered gossip?
Gossip.
We're going to talk about that in a second. But I think there's that thin line. We're going to ride that line today. Okay. So Psalm 22:1 says, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. So if the above is true, how is breaking this commandment against your neighbor akin to stealing? That's kind of an obvious question. This is my middle school pastor thing coming out. You're stealing somebody's good reputation, all right? So ultimately, God wants us to have a good reputation so that we may enjoy the trust and respect of others and be able to relate to others as, God's creatures. So therefore, he provides this commandment to protect us from our neighbor. So how do we keep the 8th commandment? We fear and love God by not speaking about others in ways that harm them. Harmful speech includes telling lies about our neighbors in everyday life or in the court of law. Colossians 3:9, do not lie to one another, seeing that you've put off the old self with its practices. So have you ever seen this enacted on the national stage or in the court of law? Let's talk about that in a more legal sense. Have you ever seen lies or the breaking of this commandment impact things on a national stage or the court of law?
So I knew someone who their family used to babysit, and charges were put against them that they were abusing a child.
Yeah.
And it wasn't true.
Yeah.
But everybody knew it, that this was brought against them, and it truly hurt the kids and the parents, and maybe like 2 years later it came out that no, it was the uncle, but those 2 years really destroyed their lives.
Yeah.
Because I mean, would you have a child,
Especially if you know you're
they were
innocent,
accused of sexually whatever.
Yeah.
Would you let your child be friends with that person?
Yeah.
No, but it's very sad.
Yeah. Yeah, the national stage, I think about, and not to get political, but there, the Brett Kavanaugh thing that happened. Did I say his name right? Is that the right name? Regardless of whether or not, I felt like there were a lot, he was hammered with a lot of accusations, and just seeing that and how that, wrecked his legacy, his family, and even to this day, it still wrecks, what he does. And I was like, whoa. That's actually thought of that when I wrote that question. His face popped up in my brain, at the hearing, and so it can hurt. Yeah.
President Clinton back in the day, and I don't need to repeat the line.
Yeah.
He looked straight at the camera and lied, and came find out.
And that defaced.
I mean, you were looking for something on a national stage.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I put that one out.
And if that lie would have carried, then that would have defaced Monica's reputation. That would have defaced her reputation. Yeah, I mean, how about where did I go here? All right. How have you seen this in everyday life? What are some lies you? I mean, it's obviously gossip, but what do you think in everyday life? So telling lies about your neighbor. I guess we kind of answered that question above. Have you ever been a victim of this in everyday life? Somebody telling lies, sweet little lies about you.
Sure.
Yeah. Hurts, doesn't it?
I lost a homicide case because my star witness took the stand and said that I was paying her to lie. So in open court.
And you were, right? That wasn't.
At one time, I got her some food.
There you go.
Like a Happy Meal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she took the stand and said that I was paying her.
Are you not allowed to get them a Happy Meal?
No, I can do whatever I want, but she was saying I was paying her.
Like actually giving her. You want this toy? You need the
Right.
toy. Yeah, wow. That's a whole nother level. I was just saying maybe somebody, I know it happens. I've never heard about gossip about Pastor Sean, but I know it happens. I'm sure it impacts me a little bit. Yeah, I'm sure. But I've seen it. I've seen it with other pastors get heavily impacted by, like this happened yesterday. Jim Gunloff, and this isn't gossip because it's a factual incident. I'm walking in Walmart and I walk by Jim and I just didn't see him, right? But I've seen with other pastors, and then I saw him in the parking lot. Jim, my daughter's, anyways. But I've heard with other pastors, you're walking through the supermarket, you don't see so-and-so walk by you. This actually at my last church with the head pastor. And then someone goes, Pastor didn't say hi to me in the supermarket. I think he's mad at me. And then that went to the next person. Yeah, he's not very affable in public. And before you know it, it's goes around the whole church that pastor's a jerkwad. And so that happens to us. So
That's what happened at voting. Remember, you didn't see me, so I told everybody.
Yeah, you're like, Pastor was really intent on voting for the Green Party, that he just didn't see me.
The important thing to remember, though, is that what other people think of you is really none of your business.
Yeah.
That's the way I approach that. If somebody wants to slander me and all that sort of thing, which has happened, in the neighborhood, and that's fine. Because when people talk behind your back, they're behind you for a reason. And whatever their information is, it's not my business.
What matters is the people you can hear. Yeah.
I come right from the front, Greg.
That's what I appreciate.
I'm coming at you, bro. Come at me. All right. So we fear and love God by not speaking or harming others. Harmful speech includes betraying our neighbors by making public their faults and secrets. Whoever goes about slandering reveals secrets, but he who is trustworthy in spirit keeps a thing covered. All right. So this is one of the interesting things about Luther's interpretation of this commandment, especially in the large catechism, is he talks about secret versus public sins. And so let's say you catch your neighbor you're like, oh, maybe Jeff has an alcohol problem, but I can't quite tell. I'm always hearing a lot of bottles clanging. When they do the recycling bin, I'm hearing a lot of bottles, and I think I'm not trying to convict anybody, and so maybe I need to talk to Matt. Matt knows Jeff. Does Jeff have a drinking problem? I don't know. I and then just boom, ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. And let's say Jeff maybe legitimately has a drinking problem. I think he does. Going around asking other people for validation, in my opinion, isn't the way. So it's secret versus public sins, where if Jeff gets arrested at Walmart because he's plastered, then I can go, hey, there's a different issue. So secret versus public sins. So can you think of any example of this? Besides Jeff and the bottles. I just answered the own question. That's stupid. All right.
But what if you're doing something because you want to help Jeff? You're not.
Oh, but so I guess that's the next question. What if I see my neighbor commit a genuine sin / wrong? Should I just ignore it? So neighbor includes anybody around you, but also people in your church too. So what if I see my neighbors commit a genuine sin and wrong? Should I just ignore it? What should I do?
There's better ways than gossiping about it.
Yeah, better. Yeah, it's kind of obvious, but yeah.
Go directly to them.
Go directly to it, and that's the scriptural mandate. Is speak. I have the Ephesians 5. Speak the truth in love, and that's also the church, but also the Matthew 18. If your brother commits a wrong against you, don't go ask Matt if he really did. Rather, go to him directly, and then if he doesn't listen to you, then you bring others in to talk about it.
Shouldn't you also make sure it's a battle worth fighting? I mean, there are small things.
Yeah. We're talking like something like legitimate. Yeah. Like Jeff actually having an issue, and you care for Jeff. As you should.
Alcoholism is life-changing.
Yeah, and so we're not talking like Jeff put his recycling out,
Doesn't put his can back.
Yeah. Luther, do not be too quickly spread evil about your neighbor and slander him to others. Instead, admonish him privately that he may amend his life. Likewise, if someone reports to you what this person or that person has done, teach him to go and admonish that person personally. That's life-changing when you think about it. That's one of the struggles with gossip, I think, for Christians, is not so much, maybe, I wash my own tongue, but when somebody else with their tongue brings gossip to me, it's like sometimes either you get paralyzed and, I'm listening to this is very awkward, or then you get swept up in, or it's like, they don't involve me. Talk to Jeff. And if Jeff won't listen to you, I have hold on one second. And this is a good quote from Luther on the public versus private sins. Let me find it here, 284. Okay. All this has been said about secret sins, but where the sin is quite public, so that the judge and everybody knows about it, you can without any sin shun the offender and let him go on his way, because he has brought himself into disgrace. Where sin is public, let the rebuke itself be public, that everyone may learn to guard against it. So, for example, one of the things with church ministry, if the pastor's spewing untruth publicly, then you need to publicly deal with that. That's not like a thing. So, or that sort of stuff. So that's one of the things I often see churches struggle with, because they're so scared about gossiping, or so scared about not approaching that person personally first, because in Matthew 18, they don't deal with an issue where so if the pastor does start kind of doing weird things publicly, then that needs to be dealt with in a public manner. But also other people too. I mean, it makes sense, yeah. Because that's something that, again, the last church I was at, after I left, not the pastor who replaced me, but the pastor they hired was teaching some stuff that was not in accord with Scripture, but maybe was afraid to do with it, because, but they would approach him on it personally, and he was a narcissist, so he would turn around their words, and and so there you go. So if it's a public sin, deal with it publicly. That's a good thing to know. Any thoughts or questions regarding any of this so far? All right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's running through my mind here is what we compassionately call venting to each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough. Yeah.
So what's the difference, or where do you draw the line between complaining, or like I'm obviously a verbal person,
yeah,
so talking something through helps me process, and crossing the line into slander gossip.
Yeah. I wish I had a good answer for that.
When I say venting and process, I'm talking about with my spouse or with
yeah,
a friend, not just randomly BSing
Making
other
somebody-
people. Yeah, and
Well,
not
at what
talking
point does he
multiple-
stop listening?
Oh,
That's probably the answer.
It works.
at what point does that? I love your honesty.
Sometimes you have to talk things
Um,
Sorry, I read your
I
sign.
never should
It's a
have
fine line, I don't know where, because you feel convicted when you're complaining about people, but at the same time,
You need to be able to talk to your spouse about things or like,
I look at that as like attorney-client privilege.
Yeah.
You talk to your wife about things,
Yeah.
it goes no further, she talks to me about it,
Yeah.
it goes no further, you know.
She-
You get it out.
it goes no further, right?
As far as I know, I've never.
I think motivation's a big one. I would say, look into your heart. Because I've thought about that, with my wife. If I'm working through an issue, what does it, when I'm talking about, how do we best perform that? It's like we talk together about that, about Matt a lot. No, but honestly, it's,
Makes sense.
yeah. But yeah, so that's tough. I would say look in your heart motivations. Why do you want to tell your husband that thing? Is it because you want him to be like, oh, honey, yeah. I think let's deal with that a little bit right now. Or not deal with that. Let's let that be ambiguous. That's a word.
Ambiguous.
Thank you. Because the next one kind of hits it. It's going to get too hot in here. Slandering our neighbor. Oh, so see, we don't do it by slandering our neighbors, by rushing to judgment, complaining about them, or spreading rumors. Do not speak evil against one another, brothers. I really don't think, in my heart of hearts, this would be you complaining to your spouse, or even like,
it's not considered public.
I don't think so.
You don't put on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm not a TikToker.
You're gonna do your daily routine. This is when I vent with my husband about people. Oh, well, let me show you. Yeah. All right. So slandering our neighbors by rushing to judgment, complaining about them, or spreading rumors. Can you think of an example of publicly rushing to judgment concerning a neighbor?
Political science in
Yeah.
The clanking of bottles might have been milk bottles.
Yeah. It could have been. Or he could have been a root beer enthusiast.
Root beer, yes.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
milk bottles that he-
Yeah, we don't. I know, and sadly we don't. We should because microplastics. But yeah, rushing to. I was trying to think of a good example. As a pastor, I've seen a lot of times where people are like, so and so thought and said that, and I thought, but did this, and it's just simply an innocent thing. But or if Jim would have, if I didn't talk to Jim afterwards, and I walked by Jim, and then he would have been like, Pastor, don't talk to me on Sunday. That's again rushing to judgment. He didn't know He didn't know that I was thinking about my shopping list because I have a ADHD and can't keep my mind on things.
I think that's what it is not knowing what that person
Yeah.
is going through. So trying not to cast judgment. I used to, when I was younger, whenever doors didn't open for you, you actually held them open for people. And people wouldn't say thank you. That used to really make me mad. Nowadays, well, of course, there's not many doors you hold open for people, but I don't know what their day was like. Working at Concordia, I see people come in early, drop their loved one off at adult day services because they can't be left alone.
Yeah.
Work all day, pick them up, and then have to watch them all night. So, I can't imagine how exhausting that would be. So you don't know what people are going through.
Complaining about them, I think that's something, especially in a church. If there's a difficult relational person, figuring out how to complain about them. Again, it's the difference between talking about an issue that might involve 2 or 3 people, but then it could easily go into complaining like, I can't believe so difficult. It's hard, So I think there's something there. Obviously, spreading rumors is a no-brainer. I like this. This Luther quote was a good one from the Large Catechism. It's about rushing to judgment. People are called slanderers who are not content with knowing a thing, but go on to assume jurisdiction. When they know about a slight offense committed by another person, they carry it into every corner. This is nothing other than meddling with God's judgment and office and pronouncing sentence and punishment with the most severe verdict. So legitimate wrong, and then you start spreading it. That's to inflict punishment on that person. So again, it's just thoughts. All right. All right, so this is the positive end. We fear and love God by, sounds so like elementary here, by speaking constructively about others. This includes defending our neighbors when others speak badly about them. So Proverbs, open your mouth for those that are helpless passage. So what could this look like in practice? How can you defend a neighbor when others are speaking badly about them to you? So somebody comes up to you and goes, did you see, the way so-and-so treated me at Thanksgiving dinner? They were kind of, what do you think was wrong with them? They're just a little bit, what could you say about that person right there? They're a little crotchety. That's what I was looking for.
Defended a neighbor the other day. There was a guy who I've come to know, and he's a friend, and he said that this gentleman who's a farmer said, he had his truck parked on one side and he was standing on the other side to stop me coming down the road. What do you think of that? And I said, he wanted to get your attention. He said, he's an imposing figure. I said, I know. I said, that's what I shared with you some time ago. If you want to ride your equipment on his ground, you should talk to him. And you didn't. And I said, so for him stopping you, he's trying to find out A, who you are, B, what you're doing, and C, share with you his perspective of your ATV, $30,000 ATV on his property. He pays taxes and works as a farmer. So yeah, I get his point. And I said, I hope you do too. And he certainly backed down.
Yeah.
Really backed down. But he said, it's a good thing I didn't have a gun. I said, no.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
That escalated quickly.
Without anything in his hands, and he wants to talk to you and flags you down, and you're going to pull a gun. Now, that's outside the lines. So,
his property.
yeah. Well, it was on the township road, technically.
Oh, well, then in that case, fire away.
Not a free fire zone, but anyway, I felt like I defended him. And,
Yeah. Well, I diffused the situation.
And the other guy is still my friend. I mean, he has my perspective now. I said, don't ride it over there.
Yeah. Don't shoot him. Don't shoot him.
It won't come to that.
Yeah, even if it's something as simple as, you don't know what so-and-so's going through today. Maybe they had a tough night, or maybe they didn't sleep well, and just, even if you don't know anything of the situation, or don't know that person from Eve, it's still good just to say, hey. That's something that's been helpful for me as a pastor to think about, because people sometimes come to me with junk, and so either I can say directly throw them to the person to the thing, or I could say, hey, this person is going through a process that you have no idea about, so just don't take it personally. Ain't about you.
I was going to say, that's why, whenever people say, well, it's not really about you.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm probably rude about it, but you don't know what that person's going through. You can't.
Or maybe the problem is them.
So
Actually, it's you. She was mean to you because you're a jerk.
Know.
Yeah, you can see. No. Yeah.
You're talking about in public.
Yes. What's public? Public, so everybody knows. Well, no, but seriously, I mean, that'd be a funny thing to say. Well, actually, there's a reason she's mean to you, because you're a jerk.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody likes you. I didn't mean to tell you, so I'm telling you.
On a broader level, we have obviously become a little more narcissistic as a society.
Yeah.
So this whole victim thing, and like he's after me, and it's just like it's almost like a automatic reset in the brain that, like, if somebody does something, then obviously they were after me or they did something to me.
Yeah.
Before they think about the other person, it's all about me and how they affected me, and I think that is why a lot of times people get so offended. Because, like they say, if you knew how less other people thought of you, you wouldn't worry so much about it. Because obviously we dwell on those things, and for some people, it seems to make them feel better.
Yeah.
In a disastrous way.
Yeah, it's good to know it's not all about you.
The drama,
Yeah. Other one, drawing attention to our neighbor's good qualities and deeds. Let everyone use his tongue, Luther says, and make it serve for the best of everyone else. So it's kind of a glass half full thing, but I mean, so-and-so was a little crotchety. I get you. But, I mean, look at everything she does. She's doing, Yeah, just something to think about. Seeking to understand our neighbor's actions in the most positive light and explaining them in the most kindest way possible. Above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins. And that's especially true in the church. So how can this action be better practiced in the church? Seeking to understand our neighbor's actions in the most positive light and explaining them in the kindest possible way. So somebody's coming to you with some juicy tea. And they come to you with the tea. What do you think? Chesterfield people, what do you think? Oh, you're the only Chesterfield? No, yeah, you are the only Chesterfielder today.
There's a lot over there.
Yeah, and there's probably your community. I feel like would probably have some tea too going around there. There's some tea.
Yeah, but there are a lot more of those.
Yeah, and you're more of a. Yeah, Chesterfield's more of a younger
Yeah, we're all
plan.
the same
Yeah,
age.
yeah.
We're the same thing.
I just feel like there's got to be a lot of gossip.
Oh, yeah, there
It's
is.
got to be rough.
Yep.
Nobody talks to anybody in Edgewood really, so it's not really an issue. Edgewood's old rich. We're good.
That's old money.
It's old money.
It's old money.
But yeah, I feel like Chesterfield would be difficult to not get sucked
Very
into.
difficult.
Yeah.
Especially you guys all went to high school together too.
Oh man, there's that.
I only went to high school with one person.
Uh,
But they're all, I went to Highlands, but they're all much older than me.
Okay.
So.
I had one interaction with somebody from Chesterfield at one time, and
It was born. Let me
and the other things that came into play blew my mind. You know, it involved apparently half the neighborhood down there.
Yeah.
This is between you and me, pal.
Yeah.
You know.
It's tough. Oh, that Chesterfield. Yeah.
Yeah, you might recall that.
Yeah. That was a public issue, so we could discuss it publicly.
Was it Selma Church?
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes,
That's how
like,
you
I
got
wouldn't
first
feel
is
totally
right.
comfortable,
Listen to-
you know, I probably make up an excuse and, you know, I have work to do.
Yeah.
But praying for that person,
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
because sometimes we don't have the words, or sometimes it's not appropriate to address that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Understanding one's actions in the most positive light and explaining them in the kindest possible way. I'm just trying to think of like concrete examples here in my life without gossiping. So when your wife comes to you with tea and then is venting, explain it in the best possible way. Yeah. Oh, honey. Yeah.
She feels better after she gets it off.
Yeah.
Sit there and nod.
Sit there and nod.
It works.
It's wisdom right there.
I forgot to address on the other page the Luther T quote. You can see this was a wonderful meme I got from the internet. But yeah, you have one tea spilling tea into all the other people. But this is Luther, and I just love because times never change. It is a common plague that everyone prefers hearing evil more than good about his neighbor. I mean, that's totes true even for pastors. You know, it's tough because you want to know the stuff, and it's sick, isn't it? Like I don't want to hear about my neighbor's good deeds. I want to know.
The bad stuff.
You want the dirt.
I want to know why my one neighbor's kids are never around. I want to know why. I want to know the story behind that.
I find myself watching the news and so much.
Not Diane, by the way. It's somebody. Diane's not my neighbor anymore, so I can
I
talk
was
about
gonna
it.
say, I find myself watching the news, and so much of it is negative. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, this guy got shot, or this
Yeah.
happened, there was a wreck here, this person
Yeah.
fell down, and all this crazy stuff. And then they finally put a good story on. And how many times you sit there in the wrong mindset and say, "That's not news,"
Yeah.
but really, it is good. It is news.
Yeah.
But you're expecting and so conditioned to hear the bad stuff.
Yeah.
When they do throw a good one out there, you're like, "Get it out of the way. Where's,
Yeah.
where's the next car wreck?" I mean, I don't know. That's kind of my sense.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
I know the one radio station, 92 point whatever, that they do, you know, kudos to people who are helping others, and they announce that. I think it's nice.
Yeah.
I'd rather hear good than.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that was convicting because when I read that Luther quote, I was just thinking in my own heart, like even if I'm not gossiping, I know it'd be interesting to know the brain science behind that. It was obviously sin, but why? But what my brain gets excited when you hear something like negative about somebody as opposed to when you hear, oh yeah, he's something, he is a nice dog.
Part of your brain lights up.
Yeah, I would say I want to know what it's like, what chemicals being released makes you go, It's weird.
The whole self-esteem thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You feel better because somebody else is a piece of crap.
That's true. Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
they call it
kind of
leveling in
swirls down to that.
psychology.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because it's if someone has a low self-esteem, you either have a need to bring someone else down,
Yes.
because you feel you're down here, or
Yes.
inflate your own self,
Mm.
which is those people
Mm.
that those, I mean,
That's true. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. And this is nothing. I don't get leveling when I hear bad stuff about you all. I feel bad. I'm a pastor. But when it's other people, my neighbors, I'm like, oh, Yeah, just so
Let's
you
go
know.
back to Chesterfield and practice
Yeah.
this. That's what we can do.
All right, bring it home. Luther writes, there is nothing on or in a person that can do greater and more extensive good or harm in spiritual and in temporal matters than the tongue. And so, I mean, that's totally true. So you can do so much constructive good with how you speak about others, and you could totally harm somebody as well. So I guess the question for you this week as you go about your merry way, is there any tea that you've spilled that you need to repent from? So think about in your life where you're spilling tea. And, you know, ask God to convict you of that. So I don't think you're spilling tea, Christy, when you're talking to your husband. But, you know, if there's other tea in other areas, you know, yeah. Think about ways you can protect yourself and others when they come to you with juicy gossip. And that's something to think about. And that's something that requires practicing. So, you know, go over the different Luther ways of defending your neighbors when others speak bad of them, drawing attention or, you know, sending them that way. That was something I had to learn how to do as a pastor. You know, it's called triangulation. It's the fancy relationship term. You know, when somebody tries to make a triangle, did you see somebody, oh, you know, it's a triangle. No, you need to break that triangle right away and go to the other person. Who in your life, and this is the nice little you know, Mr. Rogers project for you. You know, in your life and community needs you to speak well of them. Is there somebody, just think about it for a second.
Does he sound like that?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I need you to
That'll
speak.
be
Matt, I need you to speak well of me. Feeling unleveled right now. No, I don't know if that's the proper way, but yeah. So, who in your community and in your relational sphere needs you to speak well of them to others? You know, there's somebody.
I think, kind of a weird example, but our township workers at another place, I ran into one at the polling booth last week and this week, whatever it was. And I told him, said, you guys do a great job on the road. Said he was really thankful to hear that. And I tell him that every time because for a second-class township, that you know, getting out of 3, 4 in the morning to plow roads, they do a great job.
Yeah,
they really
do.
And you just tell them that they're appreciated. And I think that's
Where do you live?
a good thing. Clinton Township.
Yeah, second class makes sense.
That's how it is defined within the Pennsylvania Commonwealth. It's old class town.
Old money there.
Old money over there.
Old money is done.
We're downtown Abbeywood. Anyway, but I think he was really happy to hear that. And I said,
That's true. I mean,
Well, they do get yelled at. They do a great
They
job.
do.
Getting yelled
They
at.
get yelled
You
at.
hit my mailbox.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, even I think about when we had to attend the meetings for building this church, just being in those. It's, whether or not you agree with the politicians, it's a rough time. So even like the local politicians talking about them in positive lights. So and so really, even though you don't have to even qualify it, even though I disagree with them on this, you know, but it's like that's. I mean, it's still a dedicated to do local government. Sometimes is a very
That's the real government.
yeah, and that's how things get done. But also, it is, you know, there might be. Well, it's thing like instantly my brain as I'm talking about it, but still that probably person wants to have power and control over something. You know, I instantly go negative in my brain. But in a sense, maybe they're just selfless and disagree with me on certain things. That's great. And so maybe explain it that way.
I think you were right on the first one.
Yeah, I know. But remember, seek to understand a neighbor's actions in the most positive light. Because I don't know them. I don't know that tea. Yeah.
They're probably from a middle class family and worked at McDonald's.
Yeah, yes. Too much. All right. So turning it into a prayer. And I was really disappointed at Luther here. Maybe he got lazy. So the prayers I get are from Luther's Simple Way to Pray. He has these long, extensive prayers for every commandment. And with this one, he gave me nothing. We ask to keep this commandment from now on to have a wholesome tongue. I mean, really, come on, Luther. You could have done better than that. But I would say, you know, in a good end, though, is like, now that I'm saying this, I don't really pray that I'll say and do the right things when it comes to this. So it's something to pray about. You know, God, help me control my tongue. As James says, it's like the rudder of a ship, small thing, but can cause so much damage. And so, yeah. All right, that's all I got. Any thoughts? Everybody's quiet. This is, again, convicting. I think there's some juicy tea here that we can spill in. Next week is our second to last. Well, it's our last time of looking at a commandment. I don't know if I'm going to do like sort of a sum up at the end, but next week is the covetings, and so coveting. You know, thou shalt not covet thy my neighbor's wife, goat, maid servant, goat, goat, maid servant, male servant.
Want that?
Yeah, Well, you live right by the llama people, so you.
I don't think they're there anymore.
Oh, they're not.
I don't think so.
There's a law. There's like people like 3 or 4 llamas in the front yard, like right down the street. I know Mary
Really?
drove by there and was like, "Ooh,
Where at?
them some good
If
llamas."
you go like Scarborough Road,
Oh yeah, they
There,
moved.
thanks.
They left up
Oh.
past the jail bar.